All right, so we have the Mitsubishi style alternator. This is a rebuilt one from AutoZone Duralast 14723. And here is a brand new Denso for a 2000 to 2005 Hyundai Elentara with the 2.0 liter engine. And the model number on this Denso is 2116005. And it is indeed Denso because it says it on the label here, made in Korea. Although what's interesting is it does have the Vallejo end cap, and you can also buy a brand new Vallejo alternator. Both of those are the OEM for that Hyundai. But thing is, these remans are junk, and they don't last very long. My last one got less than 1,000 miles in a year and a half of infrequent use before the voltage regulator went bad. But oh my god, barely a year and a half and probably not even 2,000 miles, and the bearings on this thing are just completely like, you can hear the mechanical rubbing, and it's also putting out 16 volts, which is way too much, which tells me the voltage regulator is also shot. But yeah, reman alternators from the auto parts stores these days are just garbage. I would imagine this Denso that's brand new, not rebuilt, is going to last, gosh, probably a decade, especially with infrequent light use. And the only real difference is the Denso is slightly larger size-wise, and this puts out 90 amps versus 50. And you can see this part is the same, essentially. Your bottom mount part, the distance between the ears is the same on both, which is crucial. The only difference is the upper mount is a little bit offset from the top. You can see how it's kind of off an angle there compared to this, where it's more straight up and down, but it doesn't matter because this is your pivot that goes in the belt adjuster, so this is fine that it's offset. You do need to use a larger belt. Interestingly enough, cheapest place right now to find this Denso alternator brand new is homedepot.com, of all places. I got this one for about $185 shipped, and that's the best price you're going to find. These run about $95. One of the most critical parts of this conversion is that the original Mitsubishi V-built style pulley will not fit the Hyundai style alternator, because the original Mitsubishi is about 15 millimeter bore in the center, whereas the serpentine pulley on the Hyundai style alternator is 17 millimeter, so this will not fit. So I actually had to bring this to a machine shop where they used presumably a lathe to bore this out exactly to 11/16, which is roughly 17 millimeter, so that it fits. Now, you do have to pull the pulley off the Hyundai alternator, and you have to be very careful. What I did successfully is take several punches and a large screwdriver and stuck it in there and wedged it between the fan blades and the casing here. But you have to be careful. Number one, you can bend or break the fan blades, and if you're bracing against one of these do not have a lot of metal, so these can snap off, so it's better to brace against here and stick several in at several positions, so you're not putting all the tension against just one of these. And when you're doing this, use a large breaker bar where you can apply a lot of force, but very carefully and slowly until you feel this nut finally come loose. Alternatively, using something like an impact gun would probably work better, but my impact ratchet just isn't enough to overcome the torque of the nut that's holding that pulley on. Yeah, you can see those fan blades are fucked, so I gotta bend them back. it would have rubbed on the inside casing. So what you should do ultimately is split this thing apart, which I didn't really want to do with a brand new alternator, but it's the only way to do it on this design, because then you can stick something more substantial through and hold it on the stator. I don't know if that would be the rotor, stator, whatever. Or you could wrap a towel around this and put it in a big enough bench vise, just something to hold it so you can tighten and loosen. But anyway, it's not too hard to remove this back part of the casing. The big thing is stick like a little Allen key through the hole while it's still on, while this casing is still on the rest of the alternator. That'll hold the brushes down so that you can slip it off, and then you pretty much just have to take this, you know, the bolts holding the sides, or the two pieces together, they go like that, and then, you know, pound this away to separate the casing. I had to actually use a hammer. You'll want this part with the indent facing outward so that you have more of the threads exposed to tighten your nut on. Just like that. I'd also recommend using some blue thread locker, because once you thread the nut on all the way, it's a little exaggerated now because I don't have it tightened down, but there's still some threads exposed, and I wouldn't chance it even though this is rotating clockwise. When you do upgrade to the Hyundai style alternator, the original alternator drive belt will not fit because of the way that the new alternator is offset slightly in the way that it mounts, and because of that, essentially the length that you need for belt is greater than the stock size. It's going to be too small. So what you want to do is pick up a 40-inch belt. The old timer at the auto parts store let me know that the two numbers here, 40, that refers to the number of inches in total of the belt length. So if you were to like cut this right here and stretch out the belt completely, it would be 40 inches. The new Hyundai alternator uses a larger stud on the main positive going to the battery. So I clipped the old one from the factory off and installed a larger inner diameter ring terminal that's also like a heavier duty, thick material matching the original. Since you got, you know, your charging current going from the alternator to the battery, you want something substantial. And these are Dorman brand 5/16 inch ring terminals. You can see the wire size there. I got this at AutoZone for, I don't know, around $8. The connector here is the same as the Hyundai, so you don't need to swap the pins and the connectors. This is direct plug and play